Welcome, everybody, to the Ben Caplan Show, a special lunchtime edition of the Ben Caplan Show. Typically, I do these shows live weekdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, but today is my anniversary, and I have plans tonight with my wife, so I want to do a special lunchtime show for you all. So thank you very much for tuning in, whether it's here on this live or later on YouTube. I really appreciate it. Boy, oh boy. Well, actually, before I even get into my just pure anger for the Eagles, to my beautiful wife, happy anniversary, and to many more years. Love you. Mwah. Anyway, let's talk about the Eagles. It's one of those things where I was trying to do prep for this show today, and every time I started taking notes, I just would get so angry about what transpired last night. I think I'm almost angrier about the loss last night than the loss to either San Francisco or Dallas. Drew Lock. The Eagles let Drew Lock drive 92 yards down the field for a game-winning touchdown with like 30 seconds left. How is that fathomable? How is this defense that bad where journeyman Drew Lock can just seemingly at will drive down the field, no problems at all? So maybe it really wasn't Sean Desai the problem, because Matt Patricia clearly can't stop Drew Lock. Wow. Sorry, I think I'm getting a little loud here in my home office because I'm just getting a little heated. It kept me up last night. I kept saying Drew Lock, really? So I said it yesterday. I'm saying it again today, and I'll probably say it the rest of the year. The 2023 Eagles right now are a complete dumpster fire. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And there's so many things that, we need to go over. I mean, Drew Lock driving 92 yards down the field at the end of the game for the win is just really, honestly, the tip of the iceberg for me. That's the most aggravating part of the loss, is that the Eagles allowed that to happen. The Eagles defense is that bad that they allowed Drew Lock to do that. There's so much more wrong. How do I say this? The Eagles did so much. They did way worse. I'm so mad. I'm so mad. I'm having problems getting the words out right now. Sorry, everybody. There is so much more to go over. There are so many more terrible things the Eagles did last night for them to lose that game. And it's a dumpster fire. And right now, I mean, luckily they've already clinched a postseason spot. But to me, this doesn't look like a team that is getting out of the first round of the playoffs, especially when you lose to a Seahawks team. They're still in the hunt. I don't even know if they're technically in a wild card spot yet. But the Eagles, they've proven they can't beat the 49ers. They could beat Dallas, but I think that game would have to be at home. Can they beat Detroit? If you would ask me that question a couple of weeks ago, I would have said, yeah, no problem. The Eagles could beat Detroit. Who knows now? Who knows? They could probably beat the NFC South champ, whoever that ends up being. But, that would be a road playoff game if they had to play the NFC South winner in the first round. And anything can happen in a one-game situation. So I am not confident at all that the Eagles are going to get out of this tailspin right now. Fortunately, they do have the Giants, 2 with the Giants and 1 with the Cardinals coming up, and both of those teams stink, and they're like really, really poor, really bad teams. But hey, you know what? I've lost all confidence in the Eagles. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles go 1-1 against the Giants. If they win the one at home and they lose the one on the road the last game of the season, that wouldn't surprise me at this point. That's how poor this team is playing. And at this point of the season, is there an answer? Who I don't know. It doesn't look like there is one. I mean, their defensive answer was, hey, let's make Matt Patricia the play caller. We won't call him the defensive coordinator, but he's calling the plays. Well, apparently that didn't matter, because Matt Patricia can't draw up plays to stop Drew effing Lock. Drew Lock at the end of the game. So much to go over today. for that Eagles game from last night. That's really all we're going to be covering. And you know what's also frustrating? The Sixers didn't even win. I didn't even watch the Sixers game, but as soon as the Eagles lost, one of my first instincts was, well, the Sixers probably won. Let me check that. No, the Sixers lost to the Bulls last night too. So just a all around poor night to be a Philadelphia sports fan. So today we're going to vent. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments section. I will answer them. But we're talking birds. Welcome to the Ben Caplan Show. This is my second show ever, and it's just getting more and more exciting because every time I do one of these shows, I'm going to get a little bit better, and I appreciate you being along for the journey. Man, so where do we even get started? I just felt like maybe I was just rambling for the past 5 minutes because it is so aggravating, that loss. It is, to me, I don't know if you can call it worse than the San Francisco or the Dallas loss. Those were both really bad games, but those were two games also at the same time. Had the Eagles going into both those games, you thought there was a chance. Well, the Eagles might not win this one. You know, we're playing a good team. The Eagles could lose that game. So you weren't really surprised that the Eagles lost to the 49ers, the Cowboys. We were definitely surprised by how poorly the outcomes were, by how much they lost by, but not that they lost. This Seahawks game, everyone, we were all thinking, all right, we're past those two tough games. The Eagles should dominate this game. The Eagles should win this game. And it is just so, that's why I put this up there with as bad as those two losses, because this is a game the Eagles should have won. They are the better team. They were playing a team with a backup quarterback. Before last night, the Seahawks were giving up like 25 points per game. They were like one of the worst teams in the NFL at giving up points. And the Eagles can only muster 17 points. 17 points. And I've got this theory about Brian Johnson, and let me know what you think. But because both the Eagles' touchdown drives was the first drive of the game and the Eagles' first drive of the second half. And Brian Johnson seems to do really well when he has time to map out plays for a drive, like going into the game or coming out of halftime. Brian Johnson kind of seems to be able to put something together pretty easily. But if Brian Johnson has to call plays on the fly after that initial series, he can't do it. I don't know what it is, but it's so, because the play calling is just, it's the same every week, time and time again. And it's like he keeps trying these wide receiver screens. He keeps running the ball with Jalen Hurts. Now, granted, I'd say they were a little more successful last night running the ball with Hurts, but still, they're very predictable. And that's why at the end of games, you can't close out a game. That's why when you need to get a first down to win a game, you can't do it because the defense probably knows what's coming because you've been doing the same thing all game and for the past 10 freaking weeks. So, lots of problems everywhere. So let's get into the offense first. Let's stick with Brian Johnson. So again, the Eagles come out strong. First drive of the game, touchdown, boom. You're like thinking, all right, okay, getting comfortable. The Eagles might have a shot to win this thing. But after that, it was just very, very boring, very vanilla play calling. I mean, that first drive too, they had guys in motion. They were getting the ball out quickly. And then just after that, they just kind of went away from what was working for them. And, aside from Brian Johnson's poor play calling with all the friggin' wide receiver screens, I mean, I've had enough of these wide receiver screens. Am I the only one that's done with these wide receiver screens? I can't even with anymore. But aside from that, what was also extremely frustrating about the offense last night was the Jason Kelce penalty. That false start that he got because he moved the ball up, a foot, half a yard or a yard or whatever. But the Eagles were going for a tush push. It would have been first and goal. They would have been able to go 14-0 at that point or 14-3. But instead, they had to settle for a field goal, and they allowed the Seahawks to stay in the game. And that's the thing. When you keep teams in games like that, when you let them hang around, things like, Drew Lock driving 92 yards at the end of the game for a game-winning touchdown happens. Just crazy things. And the Eagles only have themselves to blame for that. And, you don't want to blame everything. Look, it was one penalty, but it was a huge penalty. And it's things like that, though, that is why the Eagles are where they are right now. When you add up all these little things that keep happening, it kind of adds up to one total big thing. So yeah, the Eagles are in a lot of trouble, especially with their offense. As I said, play calling is poor by Brian Johnson. Jason Kelsey penalty was frustrating, and the play and I know I harped on that false start by Jason Kelsey, but he's a veteran. He should know better. And that turned out to be huge. If the Eagles get a touchdown there, they could possibly put the game away early, but they let the Seahawks stay in the game. And you can't do things like that in the NFL, especially with a team that's fighting for a playoff spot at home, the Seahawks. So aside from the same old play calling from Brian Johnson, aside from that penalty, aside from the mistakes, it was the play call where there's 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Eagles are moving the football, but for some reason, from the 50-yard line, they decide to go for a home run pass and score a touchdown. And not to Devontae Smith, not to A.J. Brown, but to Quez Watkins. Why him? Why him? If you're going to go for that home run ball, why not go to A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith? Why not go to your number one receiver or your 1A receiver? Why is that? Why Quez Watkins? Don't like the play call there. And again, I don't really understand the play call to begin with. They were moving the ball fine. At that point of the game, they could just control the ball, control the clock, and if they can methodically move down the field and score a touchdown, they put the game away. But no, they got to go for the home run pass. And Jalen Hurts is Mr. Turnover this year, unfortunately. And give credit to this guy on the Seahawks makes just a phenomenal play. But still, why that play there? Why? If you know why that play there, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your reasoning why. But hey, that was only their first chance to put away the game. The Eagles actually had 2 chances last night to put the game away. 2 chances in the fourth quarter. Because after that interception, the Eagles defense made the Seahawks go 3 and out. Great job by the defense right there. But when it came down to get a first down, Eagles needed 1 first down to put the game away, and they couldn't do it. And Drew Lock was able to drive 92 yards to score a game-winning touchdown. This is going to be the most boring episode I think I've ever going to do because it's all me just saying Drew effing Lock drove down the field 92 yards to win the game for the Seahawks. The Eagles defense let that happen. It's one of those things you can't get over. I found it very ironic, too, that the game-winning touchdown pass was on a 3rd and 10. Was on a 3rd and 10 because the Eagles are they showed the stat on the football game last night. It's like for the first 10 weeks of the season, I think the Eagles were the worst team on third down, the worst third down defense. But the 3 weeks following, they were even worse than that. And last night again, terrible on third down, couldn't get off the field. Is that a mental thing? What is that? Is that when, to use a baseball analogy, like when you bring in a closer and he's blowing a save? Because in theory, shouldn't stopping somebody on 1st and 10 and 2nd and 10 be the same as 3rd and 10? Like how in baseball, getting 3 outs is 3 outs. It's got to be a mental thing. I don't know any other way to explain that. Let me see if I can find the stats for the Eagles' third down last night. I'm sure it was terrible. Eagles game log. It's just let's see if I can find it here. I'm not finding it here. No, that's not showing me. But either way, again, Eagles bad on third down, can't get off the field, can't get to the quarterback when they really need it, can't cause turnovers. So, I making Matt Patricia the play caller, to me at least. I mean, I know they only gave up 20 points. They still lost the game. They still, when they needed to stop the most, couldn't get a stop. So, does anybody out there even have confidence now that the Eagles can win the next 3 weeks? The crazy thing is the Eagles can still win the division. That is what's wild to me right now, is that your Philadelphia Eagles still control their own destiny. If the Eagles win out, they win the division. And it's not even a guarantee that the Cowboys are going to win out, because the Cowboys, they've got some tough opponents coming up the last 3 weeks of the season. Who do they got? They got the Lions coming up on Saturday. Sorry, no. I think they have the Lions in 2 weeks. They've got the Dolphins. They've got the Dolphins on Christmas Eve. Then they have the Lions, and then they finish up with the Commanders. So you gotta think they will beat the Commanders pretty easily. The Commanders are terrible, but it's not inconceivable that the Cowboys are going to go 1-1 over those next 2 games with at the Dolphins, and they're hosting the Lions. So. But the point is, it's wild that the Eagles still control their destiny if they just win out. But here's the thing: even if they win out, I don't think anybody's going to be really that impressed, because it's going to be wins against the Giants and the Cardinals. And like Isaac just says, I have no faith they can win a playoff game. I'm with you right there. I don't think they're going to win a playoff game right now. The way the Eagles are playing, they look like a one and done. Even if they host, they look like they could lose a playoff game at home in the wild card round. So they have a lot of things to fix up. I mean, Jalen Hurts last night says, he still thinks we can be a special. He said something like that. He still thinks they're going to be a special team. They still have a chance to be a special team, but they have to clean a lot of things up. Yeah, that's like an understatement, And then you see Fletcher Cox and you see Jason Kelce and the veteran leadership, they're saying all the right things. We're like, this is your chance to lead and get themselves out of this tough spot. And, how, Fletcher Cox says every team faces adversity, but like, I'm at a point with these guys. It's like, all right, talk is cheap. You got to show it. Are you actually going to make the improvements? Are you going to make the adjustments? Are you going to right the ship here? Because I'm sick of hearing it. I'm sick of the generic leadership speak. It's like put up or shut up time. It's red alert time. It's come on, let's effing go time. So we'll see. And even if the Eagles go 3-0 again over these next 3 games, am I going to be changing my mind? Am I going to be saying, okay, yeah, this is a team that can win? I think the only way I could change my mind about this team is if they win every game 42-10, over these next 3 games, which I don't think is going to happen. I don't think this team has that type of victory in it this season. Now, I hope they prove me wrong, but I don't think they will. The offense really hasn't been able to execute at the level it should be able to. And the defense, they did a better job last night of stopping a backup quarterback, but they let that backup quarterback drive down the field 92 yards to win the game. I cannot get over that. Man, am I harping too much on this? Am I overreacting that Drew Lock was able to lead a game-winning drive down the field? I don't think I am. Honestly, I think I'm underreacting. That's really bad. It was really, really bad. Now, look, it's not the only reason they lost. They lost for a lot of other reasons. But you can't let that happen. Sorry, I'm trying not to scream because I do this show from my house. My voice kind of travels, but it's just really, I don't know how you move on from this if you're a fan. Yeah, it's not, a lot of people are saying that they're feeling they're done. It's not looking good. This does not have the feel. The Eagles in 2023 right now do not have the feel of a team that's going to go deep into the playoffs, make a deep postseason run, or let's just say, get back to the Super Bowl. This team is not getting back to the Super Bowl. No way. The way they're playing right now, oh my goodness. I mean, really, the way they're playing right now, they'll be lucky to get out of the first round of the playoffs. And I think the only way they get out of the first round of the playoffs is if they host that first round playoff game. So they have to win the division, which they still can do, but it's the only way they're winning a playoff game, because I don't see this Eagles team going on the road in a loud environment, whether it's going to be Detroit or Dallas or definitely not San Francisco, but San Francisco's going to get a bye, so they're probably not even going to make it to San Francisco. Even like, I think they could. The only chance the Eagles have to win a road playoff game this season is if they get the winner of the NFC South. But even that, I don't think would be a guarantee. Even if like the winner of the NFC South finishes what, like 9-8, 8-9, 9-8, I think the Eagles can still lose that game. It's they're not playing. They're not good. They're not good. They're being exposed. And it's like, I know they only gave up 20 points last night, but when they needed a stop, they couldn't get one against a backup quarterback. And I don't know. I've just been watching football for a lot of times, and it's just got one of those feels as another disappointing season for the Eagles. Yeah, and there's no guarantees with this team. You're right, but hey, we'll see what happens. We still got 3 weeks in the season. Like, if the, but even, again, like, just offensively speaking, if they can, like, not even just offensively speaking, just if they win the next 3 weeks, uh, home against the Giants, home against the Cardinals, then at the Giants, are we all going to say, oh, they're better now? I mean, because if they win those games, they're probably going to win them like, 21-17, or a game like last night, or like, if they're going to be like ugly wins. The Eagles can't sustain drive after drive after drive. When the Eagles have a chance to like really put a team away or cause some separation, create some separation in the score, they're not able to do it. And I don't know if that's because they're not executing. I mean, personally, I think it's because of the play calling. I think that has a lot to do with it, but they're not executing. Jalen Hurts, what does he have? 18 turnovers this year, 19 turnovers this year. He's a big part of the problem too. So there is a lot that needs to be rectified, and I don't know if there's enough time to do it, or even if they have the personnel to do it. On defense, they definitely don't. Darius Slay, that really, really hurts. He's out for the rest of the regular season. They hope he'll be back for playoffs. They hope. They don't know. They're not going to tell us anything. I saw they opened the practice window on Avonte Maddox. I mean, really, they expect Avonte Maddox to come back after a torn pec, and he's going to be the answer. So the problems all over the place. But I digress. So anyway, thank you for tuning into the Ben Caplan Show. I do this show weekdays, normally at 5 p.m. Eastern, but today I got to do a special lunchtime edition of the Ben Caplan Show. You can also catch this not live on YouTube, but you can catch the replays on YouTube. Go to the link in my bio. Please make sure to follow me here on TikTok, subscribe to me on YouTube, so you never miss a show. But I want to, I guess, step away from the dumpster fire that is the Philadelphia Eagles, just for a second. I mean, obviously, and just move on to the broader picture of the NFC playoff picture, and how the Eagles. I guess I'm still talking about the Eagles, but it's wild. They still control their own destiny. They can still win the division. They're not getting a bye. They blew that chance yesterday because San Francisco's only losing one more game. Maybe losing one more game, and that would be this weekend to the Ravens. And I'm picking San Francisco in that game. I think they are the better team. So Eagles aren't getting the bye. Okay, that's fine. It's not the end of the world, but they can still win. But they can still win the division, which is wild. They just have to win out against two really bad teams. Granted, one's a division opponent. They play them twice, but two really bad teams. I imagine the Eagles will be the favorite in all three of those games. Man, as of right now, let's look at the playoff picture. It's actually kind of funny. Let's see here. Hold on one sec. Right. Oh, I was trying to show you guys my screen, but I guess that is not working tonight. All right. Anyway, so basically, if the playoffs were to start today, the Eagles would be the 5 seed, the Cowboys would be the 2 seed. So we'd be getting a Cowboys Eagles matchup. I think the only way the Eagles beat the Cowboys in the playoffs is if that game is in Philadelphia. If that game's if that game's in Dallas again, I give the Eagles no chance. It'll probably be like that 2010 playoff game where the Eagles got smoked by the Cowboys. No, not was that 2010? I think that was 2009. When it was McNabb's last year, and he was like playing the guitar coming out of the tunnel, and everyone got mad at him for that. But anyway, getting off topic here. Eagles got smoked by the Cowboys in that wild card playoff game. That'll probably happen again if the if the Eagles have to go to Dallas in the first round of the playoffs. So, but hey, the Eagles can still win the division. They just have to win their last 3. They still might get Dallas in the first round, but I think they have a chance to beat Dallas if it's at home. I give them no chance. No, like Vince McMahon says, no chance in hell if they got to go to Dallas to play the Cowboys. So, but what do you think? Let me know. You think the Eagles could beat the Cowboys on the road in the playoffs this year? I don't know. So, like, even if the Eagles go 2-1 over these next 3, I still think they can win the division, because I think the Cowboys are going to go 2-1 over these next 3, because they've got 2 tough games. They got the Dolphins and the Lions coming up, both good teams, and especially if Tyreek Hill is playing, especially, I think it's even more trouble for the Cowboys, right? So go go Lions, go Dolphins. But even though, like, I don't even think the Eagles couldn't beat the Lions either on a road playoff game in the first round either. I think, again, I don't think the Eagles can win a road playoff game. I think I'm just realizing what I'm saying right now. I think, like, the Eagles are, if they win any games in the postseason this year, they have to be at home. This team is not good enough to go on the road in the postseason and win a game. Not gonna happen. Like, tell me who. If you disagree with me, tell me who you think the Eagles could beat on the road in the postseason. Like, maybe the NFC South winner. Maybe. The Buccaneers are 7-7. I don't know. Who's leading the? If they play the Bucks, they beat the Bucks earlier this year, but I don't know. That was a lot earlier in the season. Things change Things change over the course of a long season, and the way the Eagles are playing right now, I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles could not beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers again. Again, we'll find out. We'll find out, though, what happens over the next 3 weeks. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So much fun. Oh, man. So, if you were to ask me, which you're not, but I am, ask me what's the ceiling? What's the ceiling for this Eagles team? I'd say first round playoff win. I think that is the absolute ceiling for this team as of right now. And I don't think, even if the Eagles go 3-0 over the next 3 weeks, like I've said before, I don't think that's really going to change my opinion. I don't think they are good enough to get back to the Super Bowl, especially good because they're going to have to win at least one game on the road. Now, they could, if they do get the 2 seed, they could get 2 games at home. If they win the first wild card round, then they get the division round at home. But they still got to win that wild card round. Even if they get a home game, it's not a gimme that they're going to win. So the way I see things right now, I think the Eagles get out of the first round at best, and we get sent back in the divisional round. I don't like saying it. It makes me upset to say like that, because we all had Super Bowl dreams and aspirations at the beginning of the season and up to a few weeks ago. But over the past 3 weeks, the Eagles haven't really shown that they're able to correct what's wrong. Like, if you like Fletcher Cox said, all teams face adversity. We're facing a lot of adversity right now. but like the Super Bowl winning teams, the Super Bowl champions, the teams that get to the Super Bowl, they are able to overcome their adversity because they make adjustments and they're able to change up what they're doing and they're able to improve upon what wasn't working. The Eagles, in my opinion, have just seemed to get worse week over week. Maybe they got a little better this past week. Maybe the defense did. But again, they were playing a backup quarterback who they let drive 92 yards down the field at the end of the game for a game-winning touchdown. Inconceivable. That's who the Eagles are. That's who the 2023 Eagles are. And it's a shame and I hate it and I wish it was different. But, it is what it is. It is what it is. And I don't know if they're going to improve. And, we got a comment here, Hurts needs to learn situational football. I think, yes, maybe. I don't know if it's the situational football they know. I don't know if that's Hurts or that's the play calling. I see teams when they play the Eagles, they get the ball out of the quarterback's hand quick. It's all quick, but the Eagles try to get these like long, drawn out plays where they're trying to make something big happen. Or a lot of the time it's Hurts kind of run around trying to make something happen. There's too much time. Like, I don't understand why the Eagles, it's a copycat league. Can't you copy what other teams are doing? Get the ball out quick. 3-step drop. Boom. Get it out. That's how you beat the Eagles. Why don't you try that? I don't know. They just want to run the ball with Hurts. They just want to do wide receiver screens. So I got a comment here. Who's your Super Bowl winner and matchup? I mean, right, I'd say the 49ers right now. I mean, the 49ers to me look like the best team in the NFL. There's 3 weeks left. Anything can happen, but I think the 49ers got a pretty easy schedule the rest of the way. 49ers schedule. Let's see what they're up to. So they got the Ravens, the Commanders, and the Rams. So again, the only game they could possibly lose is this week's game against the Ravens, and I don't think the Ravens are beating the 49ers. I don't think Baltimore is going in to San Francisco and beating that 49ers team. I think they're too good. So and if they win that, and if the 49ers win that game and then they win the next week against the Commanders, I'm pretty sure they will probably just not play anybody the final week because that game's going to be meaningless because they'll have everything sewed up. Because the Eagles really blew their opportunity last night for any chance at all at the number 1 seed. It's like I knew in my mind that the chances were slim to none for the Eagles to get that number 1 seed, but I still believed a little bit that, hey, Eagles can win out. San Francisco can lose to Baltimore, but shouldn't have let myself believe because I just ultimately let myself be disappointed from the Eagles. But, you think I'd be used to that by now. I'm 37 years old, been watching the Eagles my entire life. There's only really been one time in my life where the Eagles have not disappointed me, and that was when they won the Super Bowl. I mean, everything else, major disappointment. I mean, that's pretty much being a sports fan, right? Just disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. So I'd say, sorry, I kind of off topic, but the question was who's my Super Bowl winner matchup. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was San Francisco and Baltimore if this was a preview of the Super Bowl. I mean, I think the way things are going will probably be the 49ers. Coming out of the AFC, I think that's a little more open. I don't know, because the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, I don't know if they've really proved themselves yet in the postseason. I think Lamar Jackson only has 1 postseason win. And so they're that team that they get there, but they always kind of fall short. So I think Lamar Jackson is trying to turn a lot of people into believers. But it's point I'm saying is it's not a given that the Ravens are going to get the number 1 seed and just walk through the AFC. If they lost to, Kansas City or Miami or, somebody, I don't know if people would be shocked if Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, fell short in the postseason because that seems to be it's his MO. It's your MO until it's not, right? So until he proves he can get to the Super Bowl, people aren't going to be surprised if he loses in the postseason. But what's Jalen Hurts' MO now? I mean, just turnovers, because he just turns the ball over all the time now. Last year he did such a good job of holding onto the ball and protecting the ball. And now he's just turning the ball over, and it's just at really bad, really poor times. Like, I do not understand for the life of me why, with 8 minutes left in the game, and you're driving, and you've already got a couple first downs, why you feel the need, and you have the lead, why you feel the need to go for a home run pass. Why you need to go for a 50-yard touchdown pass, and not even to AJ Brown, not even to Devontae Smith, but to Quez Watkins. Why do you need to call that play? Why? Why can't you just continue to chip away, drive down the field methodically, take some more time off the clock, try to drive in with the touchdown? Like, it was so poorly coached. I know everybody hates Brian Johnson, and I always try to be like not Mr. Hate on Brian Johnson, but what was that? That was trash play calling. Just trash play calling. And again, and you put that on top of all the wide receiver screens and all the Jalen Hurts runs. Like, teams know that this is what you're trying to do. Teams are ready for it. So, and I think, that's why, look, I'm not saying that the Seahawks knew what play was coming on 3rd and 7 on, when the Eagles were trying to get that first down to put the game away. But the Eagles are predictable, and teams know what they're trying to do, and they really don't seem to be adjusting from what they're trying to do. And that's why you can't get a first down when you need it the most. When you need to put the game away, one first down to win the game, you can't do it because teams are ready for what's to come. And the Seahawks were ready for what was coming on that 3rd down. And the Eagles only have themselves to blame because they're so stubborn in their ways. They're not changing. They're not making adjustments. What do you do during the week? What do you do? Aren't you supposed to make adjustments week over week? From one game to the next. The Eagles don't seem to be doing that. It's there's lots, and there's lots of problems. This whole thing this season is turning into a dumpster fire, and it's crazy to say that a 10-4 team is a dumpster fire. But when you lose 3 games in a row to possible postseason opponents in the fashion that they did, what else could you call it besides a dumpster fire? I can't really think of anything else to call it. So I'm calling it a dumpster fire, and I don't really see a way out of it. Yeah, we got a comment here. Similar to Wentz, great till he wasn't, in an eerily similar way, and they ran Wentz out of town. No, I don't think this is, I don't think this is a Carson Wentz situation. Carson Wentz also, correct me if I'm, from everything I read and from everything other players have said, Carson Wentz wasn't really a good leader. And he was more of a me guy than a team guy. And from everything I hear about Jalen Hurts is a leader, and people want to follow him. And he, takes accountability, and maybe he tries to get better at least. I would not say Jalen Hurts is definitely turning to Carson Wentz. But Jalen Hurts has got to fix the turnovers. I mean, if he keeps, if he keeps turning the ball over at this rate, season over season, I hope we don't have a Carson Wentz situation. We won't. It's going to be different because people like Jalen Hurts. I don't think people really liked Carson Wentz. Got a comment. Marcus Mariota is the next Nick Foles. I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm going to get ready to call Marcus Mariota the next Nick Foles. I don't think Mariota is going to play at all this season. He probably won't be here next season either. But anyway, if you're just joining me, thank you for tuning into the Ben Caplan Show. It's a daily, I do the show daily, most days at 5 p.m. Eastern. Doing an early show today because tonight is my anniversary, so I'm going out with my wife. But I wanted to make sure I got the show in. You can catch all my replays on YouTube. You can catch my show live here on TikTok during the week. So make sure you like, follow, subscribe to me, please, everywhere you possibly can. I'd really appreciate it. Coming up this week, more Eagles talk. Going to get into the Sixers a little bit. They lost last night. I paid no attention to the Sixers last night until the Eagles game ended, because in my mind I was like, well, all right, the Sixers played the Bulls, so the Sixers probably won. At least that happened. No, I was wrong. The Sixers did not win. The Sixers disappointed us also, so you can just pile that on top of the Eagles game. But just not a good night for Philadelphia sports. They're not all going to be good nights. Not all going to be bad nights, but last night was a bad night. Hopefully we'll have some better nights ahead of us, but I'm not so sure that they're going to involve the Eagles for the next month and a half of the NFL season. But that's just about going to wrap it up for me today. Few things before I go. All right. Hey, I am looking. This is a brand new show, the Ben Caplan Show, and I am looking for guests. I'm going to talk Phillies, Eagles, Sixers, Flyers. If you want to be a guest on my show, shoot me an email at thebencaplanshow@gmail.com. Also looking for advertisers. If you want to be an advertiser on the Ben Caplan Show, shoot me an email. But I will be doing the show weekly, daily, I should say. I'll be back at it tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. Going to be talking more Eagles. Going to get into the Sixers. Going to talk a little Flyers because you know what? Maybe we should start paying attention to the Flyers. We'll find out. Appreciate everyone who tuned in. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.